Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the LFC Transfer Room. I am your host, Lewis. I haven't been on for 2 weeks, but it's good to be back. And I just want to start. It's not a football thing. It's something that's just it's something that I want to say. Thoughts going out of everyone in Southport at the moment with obviously everything that's gone on. It's not football related. It's just something that's a really horrible situation, and we pray that everyone who's involved is okay. And yeah, just God love you all. So yeah, thank you for the emergency services there. And hopefully if you are involved in that, this video is a bit of a distraction for you from what's been going on. So yeah, just hope everyone's okay. We've got plenty to speak about. We have Endo, whether he's coming to the end of the road, whether we should sell him, whether we shouldn't. We also have the Sepp Van Den Bergs situation. We've rejected a bid, which we'll get into in a moment. And we also have the Hogan interview with LFC and all that situation that's going on. It's upset a lot of people. It hasn't upset a lot of people. It's very much thrown the fan base down the middle, but it hasn't helped the whole FSG out situation for a lot of people. So we're going to dive into that. It's going to be probably controversial, but hey ho, that's what we're for. If you're watching, make sure to click like and subscribe, all the usual stuff. It really does help out. The more you like the video, the more people see it. So that helps out massively. And if you're watching over on Twitter, which a lot of you are, you have to go over to YouTube to be able to comment, to get involved, because we're going to be asking a lot of questions throughout this, and I want to get your guys' thoughts on it as well. And I'm joined today by Jonathan, Paul, and Anil. And yeah, we're just going to be going through a lot of the stuff. And we'll start off with the big one. The big one would be if we sign people. Big one in terms of sales, Sepp Van Den Bergs, the young centre-back. That centre-back we signed the season after the season we won the league, the 2019 summer window, I believe it was, is whether he stays or goes is up in the air. We don't really know. But there's a bid today from PSV Eindhoven for 10 million euros, which equates to around 8 million pounds or something around that mark, which Liverpool have swiftly rejected. Jonathan, I'll go to you first. I mean, what do you think? What do you think of this first off bid just for Sepp Van Den Bergs? 10 million euros? I mean, a bit low, or is that about what you'd expect?
As an opening bid, I think that's reasonable. The club wants 20. He wants to go for lower than 20. But I think we should try to buy to get in a centre back before we get rid of him. Because in preseason and training and the match against Betis, he looked very sharp of what I saw. But if we get 10 to 15, I think we should be for.
Yeah.
But then we should be ready to get in a new centre back. But don't sell him. We need to have him or buy him.
I mean, Sepp in that Real Betis game, I thought he looked sharp in terms of his positioning looked good. He showed good recovery pace. There's a moment in particular where he's a little bit further ahead than everyone, but he still manages to track back and put in a good defensive shift. It was just on the ball work that was a little bit lacking. And Paul, you were shaking your head then with Jonathan. I mean, was that regards to the whole situation of Van Den Bergs, or was that for the price that was touted around selling him? Because there's a comment here saying that he's worth at least 30 million. We should keep him if he doesn't fill that position. So I mean, what's the thought on that?
For 10 million, no chance. I'm keeping him.
I agree.
I think his biggest issue is game time. He doesn't want to hang around the club. He's been here for what, like 4 years? I think he's been with Liverpool, and he has
5
not.
years now.
Yeah, so I can see where it's coming from. If you're not going to play me, then let me go play somewhere. But I'm pretty sure if we promise him decent game time, he'll be fine in staying. Because he doesn't hate the club; he just wants to play. So. Especially with our situation right now where we need reinforcement at the back. It's kind of pointless to sell him to give him away for 10, 12 million pounds, then go sign another player for 35, 40 million. And then we've found out in the long run that he's no better than Sepp. So he's not costing us a lot of money. We're not going to get much for him. We need centre-back help. So I would say keep him. Just give him the opportunity, and if he is good enough, he should play. So I am in no hurry to sell him, and the guy just needs some opportunities. And just watching him in that game last week, he seems okay. It seems like he can play. So I am in the camp that, you know what, just have a chat with the guy and say, listen, the amount of games that you play will be determined by your performance. We will give you an opportunity, and if you prove that you're a Liverpool player, you will get game time. And I'm sure he'll be happy.
Well, he said himself he'd be more than happy to stay. He just needs to be. He just wants the game time. He said himself the facilities are good, the coaching's good. He's liking the way everything's moving, but without the game time, he doesn't see much point in staying. And my argument to it today was Sepp has last summer before we signed. Oh no, sorry, I'm just losing my train of thought now. Last summer, before we lost Joel Matip, everyone was saying we need to sign a centre back. We need to sign a centre back. Now we've lost Joel Matip. We're actually one step further back. So I don't see a reason to sell Van Den Berg at the minute if he's showing promise, because then we're going to have to go out and sign probably 2 more centre backs or something along those lines. I mean, Anil, what do you make of this whole? Is he capable of breaking into this team, or is it a sort of we just need to cut our losses and get rid of him?
First of all, I'm a firm believer in just giving players opportunities. Rather than spending 20, 30 million on a centre-back, when we've got like someone like Van Den Berg, who last season he was up there as like one of the best centre-backs in Bundesliga. So I'd rather we give him an opportunity to showcase himself first. And I think at the fee that was going around, I think Marseille, was it 10 million euros or something like that? I think that's way too low. Yeah, way too low. So if we were to sell him, I think that's down to because Van Den Berg wants regular game time, which makes sense because I did actually look at it. I think he's been on loan for like 3 or 4 seasons in a row, which is a bit crazy when you think about it. So I do understand why he wants assurances of the game time. So if we do sell him, it'll be because Van Den Berg wants to ensure he starts regularly. So yeah, I think we need to keep him and need to give him an opportunity. That's what I think.
No, I agree. Look, Van Den Berg... Go on, Paul.
If Sepp wasn't a Liverpool player, he wasn't associated with the club any at all. And he's the kind of player that we probably would have been scouting this year based on his performance last year in the Bundesliga. If he was coming to us with that performance last year for 35, 40 million, we'd all be excited and say we're getting this tall,
exactly,
good in the air Dutch centre back who is decent on the ball for 30, 35 million. And we would all be happy because he would be a fresh signing, he would be this new shiny toy. So, I mean, I'm not going to say it's going to be better than Kwanzaa, it's going to be like Berg or whatever it is. But I am saying we need to give the guy a chance to see. I mean, obviously, if we get a $35 million offer, then that's a different story. But for 10 million, no, I would say that is
the 10 million is a sort of dipping your toe in the water to see what they can get kind of thing. I think that's just a sort of initial test of could we maybe get him for cheap? No, okay, let's up it then. Because the fact that it is that low for a player this young with as much experience as he has, it does just seem like the test in the waters. And Sepp's been alone. Preston North End, he was there for 18 months, I believe it was. He was there for a while. Schalke, obviously, got that knee injury or ankle injury it was. Then Mainz, he did very good there. So you're absolutely right. He is a player that we would have been looking at had we not signed him. And Sepp Van Den Berg is his own worst enemy at the moment. He does need to display that ability on the pitch more than because I feel like whenever you say Sepp Van Den Berg Liverpool at the moment, the first thing you think of is some sort of interview he's done or a comment he's made. And I'm amazed that he is still at the club given what he said when Klopp left and all this situation. So there's clearly talent there and clearly the club have identified it. But 10 million that's a ridiculous. If Harry Maguire, a different situation, but if he's 75 million, 80 million, Van Den Berg is not 10 million euros. Like I'm not standing for that situation. Like, yeah, it's ridiculous. But so I made the case earlier on today that I do think he can break into the team with Konaté's injuries. There's no more Joel Matip. You've really only got Van Dijk and Kwanzaa, who Konate will be the main centre back alongside Van Dijk, but he gets injured. You've then got Kwanzaa, and I made the argument that Van Den Berg could become the third choice in that situation, given that Gomez is often played as a left back, a right back, a CDM, a centre back. Like, there's no set place for him. I mean, Jonathan, is that a sort of, can he sort of progress the way Kwanzaa did? Like, what side of centre back do you see him on? Is it left? Is it right? Like, whose position is he sort of vying for in that back line?
I think he will be in the left side. If Konate is a lot injured, which he can be, we don't want to overuse Kwanzaa. But they have to settle to be the fourth or fifth choice, because he won't go over Kwanzaa, maybe not even over Gomez, who also can play as a centre back. And it all depends on how fit Konate is. But I think mainly on the left, because Berg will have that place locked. He will start every game unless he's suspended or injured. So yeah, it's exciting to see. I hope he gets the time. He looks sharp. But if you don't want to be the backup, I think we just can't. We don't need those players at the time.
I mean, given the fact that to me personally, I feel like we do need another centre back, like not just someone who's not as injury prone, but we do need a bit more depth in that centre back area. We've seen what happens when Konate goes down, and then it takes one injury to Van Dijk that suddenly he's gone. Like, regardless of the situation, should we realistically be selling Van Den Berg? Probably not. Of all the players in that squad who are sort of expendable money-wise, Van Den Berg has the sort of is one of the ones with the most promise, and you could probably get a higher price tag for him down the line if he's willing to stay for that year or so. But like, if Van Den Berg stays, Paul, and I'm curious to get your opinion on this, like, do we have to as desperately go out and sign a centre back if Sepp Van Den Berg does stay, or are we in a situation where we could maybe try and hold off for an extra year or so and fill the other gaps in the pitch that need filling?
If he's staying, there is really no point on us going and buying another project at centre back or another average player. Obviously, you never say never. So if a really solid player is available at a reasonable price, a top player, $40-50 million player, someone who's actually worth that money, then by all means. But if we're going to keep Van Den Berg, which I hope we do, there's no point, in my opinion, in us going and sign another 15, 20, 25 million young project to sit on the bench or to be backup. We need to give the guy the opportunity to do that. As to whether he's on the left side or right side, to me, it doesn't really matter. If we are predominantly going to be playing a back four, which means two centre back. So, of course, we know Berg is marooned on the left side. But if Berg is not playing, the other guys we have, I don't think it really matters much, whether Kwanzaa is on the left or the right, or Van Den Berg is on the left or the right side of the centre back period. So we don't really need to go and sign another left side of centre back unless he's left-footed, and then other options, can play left back, etc. But if Van Den Berg stays, I think we are good enough at the moment for centre back if we believe that Konate and Berg is the starters. Konate to be spelled by Kwanzaa. And don't forget, that Joe Gomez's best moments at Liverpool was when he was playing a centre-back with Berg. So I still view Gomez as a centre-back. He has been playing left-back, right-back, defensive midfield, all over the place as kind of the utility guy. But he's a centre-back, and I'm sure he would really love to get some minutes as a centre-back as well. So we are covered, in my opinion, in that area of the pitch, as long as if Sepp stays. Of course, Nat Phillips is just a waste of space. He's a guy we need to get rid of, and it's $60K a week. But that's going to be tough. We can't give him away for free. I would, if I could find a team that would take Nat Phillips and take his contract, I would even sell him for free. Because to me, he's not worth anything. Get him off the payroll. But for Sepp, I think he deserves an opportunity. and I don't see the point in moving on from him and then signing another unproven centre back for that kind of $20-25 million price range.
Just quick, someone's smoke alarm or something. I can't hear anything personally. I don't know if this is anyone's. It's just I personally can't hear
Anil,
anything.
you want to put your phone on mute, or do you have an option? Let's see if it's you.
No, it's not my phone. My phone's
Okay,
on.
I'll put mine on mute now.
That's fine. Could possibly be that. Let me just try it. I mean, I don't know, but look, I'm not hearing anything personally. Hopefully that's corrected the problem a bit, but like someone's put here, healthy rotation at the back isn't bad. I'll sell Nat Phillips and keep Van Den Berg. I think that's the way to go.
We still have Nat Phillips. I totally forgot about it.
Go on, Jonathan.
I forgot Nat Phillips was still at the club. We had to sell him first.
Yeah, so we've still got Nat Phillips on the books. Reece Williams is still on the books. Kumetio's just left or is leaving. We have a lot of options. It's just some of them are not good enough. Reece Williams is not good enough. Nat Phillips, God love him for all he's done, but not good enough, really. Van Den Berg has a chance to step up, given the fact that we're already losing these players. There's no rush to get rid of him. I don't think we need to get rid of it. It's not a pressing matter. He's good enough that he could justify being in this team, and clearly the club have seen something in him. And we have seen down the years countless young players that we sign who eventually don't really amount to much and we sell them for high fees. But Van Den Berg does have something to offer. He's come back to this team 2 weeks early ahead of all the first team players. He's been with Slot for 2 weeks. He started against Real Betis. There's no indication to me that Slot is in any rush whatsoever to offload him from the team, and Liverpool instantly rejecting the money is either going to be they have faith in him or they want more money. And PSV could come back and double the fee. And like Paul said then, did you say about 30 million it was around about, Paul, like for that amount? Like, because I think that's a fair assessment if that's the...
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get 30 million for Sepp Van Den Bergs, but to me, 25 million is run about the point in which I would consider a sale. If it's like 10, 12, 15 million, in other words, he means more to us at 10 to 15 million than to sell him for that kind of money. Because we are not going to get any player for 10, 15 million that is you're able to rely on or who can start or play any meaningful minutes this season. So it's kind of pointless in my opinion. Obviously, if you give him a chance and then you realize that he's not the guy, and his limit, his ceiling is not good enough, then there's a January window. Even if it goes for another 4 or 5 million less than you could get right now, it still would make better sense, So at the moment, I think, and even if you listen to what he says, he just wants to get an opportunity. So I think we'll give him an opportunity, and I just suspect that he's going to surprise a lot of people.
Also try to include a buyback clause.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to actually be my next question. I mean, just because we sell Van Den Berg doesn't mean that there isn't a future for him. We could add a buyback clause. Don't forget, Van Dijk only has a year left on his contract, and even then he's 32 now. Like, he's starting to get up in age. Kanate's still got his injuries, so should we be including either a buyback clause or we get first crack at you if you are to move on from your club kind of thing? Like, it's something to consider.
I think it's something to consider, but ultimately, I'd rather we keep him and give him an opportunity so he can show himself what he can do. Yeah.
I'm not really a fan of buyback clause, Maybe I'm old school. You have to remember that players are humans. They're not just commodity. And if you're a player and you're around the team for 4 or 5 years, you haven't really gotten a chance, and then the team sell you. And then all of a sudden, first of all, the only way we'd be interested in buying him back is if he shines or if he excels at his next stop. So he's been around the team for 4 or 5 years, no opportunity, then we sell him to PSV or whoever. And then
disagree with that one, but yeah,
he does well, and then all of a sudden they say, "Okay, let's buy you back." If I was that player, I would be reluctant. I would say, "You know what? I want to go somewhere else. What? That's just me.
No, it is, and I get what you're saying from a sort of. I mean, there's a few bits to it. So the whole he's been around us for 5 years thing, he has, but at the same time he hasn't. He's obviously been on loans and stuff, and we'll have been keeping an eye on him. But I do get what you mean in that regard. With regards to the human beings, they're not commodities. I agree from a humanitarian standpoint, but with regards to a football club, the way they treat their players, it makes perfect sense for Liverpool to say, look, there's no place for you right now. We can sell you on. He may be hesitant in the future, but we've seen players in the past with different clubs who've returned to that club despite cutting ties, despite the manner in which they've left, and they've actually progressed and done well. It's something to put in the contract, whether or not he wants to do it, whether or not down the line he decides it's a good move or not. I think it's just important to sort of cover the basis so that I'd rather have the clause in the contract and not need it than want to sign him back and not have that option. So, but I completely agree with what you're saying though with regards to the treating them like humans and not, commodities.
Yeah, if you say you're going to put a 50% sell-on clause, where then that to me is more palatable, because then you have no right to claim the player, but you get a percentage of the profits. But let's hope it doesn't get to that, because we do need a cover for Matip. And I think that Sepp, at the very least, needs to be given that opportunity to see if he can cover for Matip, especially the fact that we have both Konate and Kwanzaa already there as bona fide starters. So it's not like we'll be that exposed if he comes, we keep him past the deadline and then found out, that he's not good enough. And I think even if you look at the domestic games that we have coming up, the FA Cup and those and the League Cup, especially the first couple of rounds, I'm pretty sure that he's good enough to play some meaningful minutes in those games. We might not want to throw him on the field in week 3 against United, but for the kind of depth that he provides, I think he should stay.
Well, I mean, if the youth players, if the young lads like Dan's and Bobby Clark and McConnell, Scanlon, Berg, if all these people were able to get in the team last season in those sort of sporadic rotation minutes, there's no reason why a player of Sepp Van Den Bergs' quality, who actually has first team experience in Bundesliga clubs, in championship clubs, there's no reason to say he can't have that same situation. And then when Van Dijk, I was going to say when he leaves next year, but he might not, fingers crossed. If he does decide to leave, there's then a clear pathway for someone to break through and become that focal point. I mean, Jonathan, on the last point on Van Den Berg, does that sort of make a bit of sense for him that he wants to play first team football? And as someone said here, he said himself, he's just buzzing to have the chance to play at Liverpool under the new manager. Is there a world where Slot could say to him, look, obviously we don't know the situation, but Van Dijk has said he's probably going to be leaving at the end of the season. I need first teamers. This is your chance to really show me that you're capable of breaking into that team. Give it a year, and then you will play more first team football if you're good enough. Is that something that could tempt them to stay?
Yeah, especially under Arne. I think that's more likely. If Klopp still would have been here, I think Van Den Berg wouldn't have gone to the States with us. He would have looking to offload him. But yeah, he seems positive to play under Arne. Arne seems very positive to have him in the squad. But as Paul said, for the right amount of money, I wouldn't stand in the way to see him go.
Yeah, I agree. We sell to buy, and that's another player who we're going to move on to. I think it got touched on a bit yesterday, but we have to talk about the Wataru Endo transfer bid that came from Marseille. Roberto De Zerbi's Marseille, which is a very strange, of all the players he could go for. Endo, so the story is £108 million bid rejected from Liverpool from Marseille, but apparently the club are tempted to sell him. He's one of the ones who they could go without. He's not in the long-term plans of the club. He's not planning to be a mainstay under this current regime. And yeah, I mean, Anna, I'll go to you first. I'll give my thoughts on Endo after you, but 11.8 million to me seems like that's round about what I'd expect. But at the same time, I think he justified his price tag of 16 million last season, so we could probably recoup that money back if we wanted to. Like, what do you make of the whole price tag for him?
Yeah, as you said, we paid 60 million for him last season. So, but just based off that, I want round about the same amount. If we were to sell him, but personally, I wouldn't sell him because okay, he's not world class. He's not like a Fabinho at his best, but for me, he's more like a Lucas Leiva, and Lucas Leiva done a great job for us. So, like, if somebody offered me Lucas Leiva, the squad option, I'll take that all day long. And I think Endo could do that this season for us at a backup.
Yeah. No, I agree. Endo does a job, and let's be honest, when we signed Endo, that's all anyone could expect. No one was expecting him to come in and be this mainstay brick. So, if anything, he overperformed our expectations last season. So, like, he's a solid player, and like Hopkins says, backup is solid for Endo. I completely agree. And when I've done videos on my channel, I've done videos on this channel, and all the other things, I've said that Endo is one of the few players in this team that I could see us selling because he's only going to decrease in value. He's only going to decline sooner rather than later. But he proved last season just how good he is. Like, and I'll keep it with you for a second, but do you think that he could? We saw him against Betis. He looked a bit sluggish. He looked like he was sort of off the pace. Like, could we see him struggle in this Arnslot system, which doesn't necessarily, from what we've heard and what we've seen, doesn't rely on a CDM? He relies on a bit of a double pivot. Like, could Endo maybe struggle and we might see a bit of a decline from him next season?
Potentially, but it's still too early to say. It's only just one game. And, it's the first game of preseason. Not everybody's going to be at the best, like sharpest. Yeah. So I think we just need to give him a chance to try and show to us that he might be able to do a job in the slot. And I think last season, I'm grateful we signed him because if we didn't sign him, we would have been using McAllister at the sixth, and he wasn't exactly at his best in the sixth role. And I think Endo and McAllister complement each other really well. So I want him around the squad option, and I do think we need to keep him.
Yeah, Paul, I agree. Get your thoughts on that. Yeah.
Wataru Endo is 31. A lot of people keep on talking about his age. 31 is not that old for a footballer. No. I mean, let's face it, James Milner is still playing for Brighton now, and I think he's 38. Adam Lallana is playing another year, and he's 36.
Mm-hmm.
When Endo left us, he was 33 going 34. So the point is,
playing in Japan, who's 51. So
there you go. Pepe, the centre back for Portugal, he's my age, right? So the point is, Endo may not be a starter in Arne Slot's best 11, but that's okay. I mean, a squad does not need to have 25 starters. You're going to have your starters and you're going to have your squad players. Endo can do a job. He can do the odd start here or there. He can come on late in game, when we just need somebody to defend the lead and to protect the back four. The kind of job that Milner used to do in his last couple of years on the club, the kind of job that Endo used to do to cover for Alexander Arnold, to do the running, the kind of stuff. So for what Endo brings to the team, for what we're paying him in terms of wages, and for what we would get if we would sell him, it would be a pointless transaction. I think we need to keep him, because he's 31. Yes, he's not the most flashy player, but he can play. He can tackle. I mean, if you remember that game that we played against Man City last year at Anfield, that 1-1 that we should have won, he was massive in that game. So he can play. He's a big game player. I mean, when you're playing teams that are low block and you need more technical midfielders to break down a low block, that's not Endo. right? But then you have other guys. You have your Gravenberch who can go past people. You have your McAllister who can make the pass. You have your other midfielders. You have your Harvey who can take a shot from outside the box. So to be a successful team, you need different profile of players. So you're paying him like 50K a week, and I think he's worth on the market for maybe 15 million. What's the point? The guy is 31. He has another 2 or 3 solid years left in him. Plus, he's Japanese, and Japanese, they run forever, and they live forever too. So, I mean, I love the guy. The thing is, we keep on comparing Endo with prime Fabinho, which is so unfair, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Endo is not prime Fabinho. And Endo also we tried to get Caicedo for 100 and whatever million pounds, 110 million pounds. We didn't get him. So we bought Endo and saved 100 million pounds. So do we really expect that Endo should be as good as Caicedo?
Well, Endo...
He was better.
What was that, Jonathan?
Endo was better than Caicedo.
Well, again, here or there. But my point is, we should not expect Endo to be 110 million pounds that we expected Caicedo would have been had we gotten him. The guy is a 31-year-old Japanese midfielder. Is an out-and-out number 6. We have no other number 6 in the team right now in terms of a natural number 6. So for the price we paid, for what he's costing us right now, for what he can do, he's a big asset to the team. And if you look at his attitude, he doesn't care if he starts, comes off halftime, come on for 5 minutes, sit on the bench. He doesn't look like the kind of guy that complains. He looks like he's a kind of, the perfect kind of teammate. So, I really like him. As I said, I don't see him as a starter in our best 11, but as a squad player, I think he's more than valuable. He's more valuable to the team, than the 10 or 8 million that we could get for him right now. So I see no reason to move him.
And Endo is... I've made this argument so many times, and I sound like a broken record. You look at any team that's won this league, and they have at their core a CDM, somewhat like your Roy Keanes, your Vieiras, your Makaleles, your Rodris, your Fernandinhos, your Fabinhos, Kante. Every team has that CDM. And like Cesc Fabregas, I know he wasn't a CDM, but etc. etc. Oh no, Matic, not Fabregas, but it's such a key position. And Endo is not the flashiest player. He's not Fabinho. No one is going to be Fabinho. Endo is my style of CDM, where he's just a brick shit house, and his job is just to knock players off the ball, break up play, and he's good at it. And you touched on it before. My main concern with Endo was he was never going to be able to match the pace. If he'd have come in like a house on fire and then dipped slowly through the season, I'd be more concerned. But the fact that he started off slow and he got better and better and better is a good sign. Because if it was the other way around, that means he'd be in a decline. You could see that his age is catching up to him. But he got better as the season went on, to the point where we're playing Man City in a title-deciding match, and he's one of the best players on the pitch at 31 years old. I would be
on the bench.
What was that one?
Hey, put De Bruyne on the bench.
Yeah, and we know Endo is 31 because we know he's 31. We can, Google, we know his age.
You wouldn't know it, though. You wouldn't know.
If you just drop from space and see this guy playing for the season, you would never guess that he's 31. So I think we need to look past his age.
Yeah, and I want to add as well, he's better on the ball than people give him credit for as well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not De Bruyne, but nobody expects him to be De Bruyne.
Yeah.
My only counter argument to this, as much as we love Endo and we think he's been fantastic, he's the Scouse Samurai and all that, but my only argument to it is we operate, and this is again going to trigger the FSG outers and etc., but we operate in a sell to buy system. We operate by selling players for good fees to receive money back. Now, as we've mentioned about 50 times, Endo is 31. Of all the players in that squad, and there's a player that Jamie has mentioned earlier on, who we're going to get into in this same topic, we are going to have to sell players to bring in a bit of extra money. Of all the players who are in that squad, Endo is probably on the higher end of disposable, because you've got A is age, and also B, everyone else in that team is of a good caliber where they could develop into something a bit more. But then you've also got to make the point of, if you sell Endo, we 100% have to sign a CDM in this window. So in a sort of roundabout way, and then I'm going to ask everyone this same question, like, is selling Endo good in the sense of, A, it means that the club have to go out and sign a CDM. So you're sort of pushing that along, being like, look, you can sell them if you want, but you have to make something happen here. And the club might be in a bit more urgency to do it. Or is it worth keeping them, but risk that sort of, we don't necessarily need to go out and sign a CDM, if you get what I'm saying. So, I mean, Jonathan, is there a world where selling them could be a benefit to the club in a sense?
They rejected the bid for a reason. They want maybe the same amount they paid for him last summer. And with the season he have had, we can get maybe even more. If a bid comes on 16 to 20 million, go ahead. That will push the club to bring in a new number 6. And if not, he wants to stay. He don't have a problem with sitting on the bench and fighting for his place. So keep him. If the money isn't right, we can keep him. If the money is right, we can look to offload him. But I fell in love with Endo last season. The Man City game, the Fulham game, when it just plays the ball top corner. He was wonderful, and it will be sad to see him go if he leaves. But if the money is right, like Sepp, you can't deny an offer that's too good to.
Yeah, and I mean, okay, so Paul, let's go to the sort of thing for you then. Like, is there a price tag that does make you get rid? Don't say something like 100 million, because obviously, it's 100 million, we'll do that. But is there a sort of a price tag that would make you think we could sell Endo?
Well, the amount that would encourage me to sell Endo is an amount that we would not get, because nobody's going to give us 20 million for Endo, I don't think. So anything under 20 million, I think he is better off staying, because even if Endo stays for another 2 years and give us solid minutes back up off the bench and then goes for free, I think we give him a 3-year deal or a 4-year, I can't remember. But let's say he stays and after 2-3 years, his value is nothing. It means more to us than to sell him for 10, 12, 15 million. Because it's not like there's a ton of number 6s out there. I mean, Paulina just went to Bayern for, I don't know, like 60 million euros, and he's just 2 years younger than Endo. Yes, he's bigger and he's more physical, but other than that, he doesn't have anything else over Endo, in my opinion. He's not a better tackler. He's bigger. He's not a better ball carrier. So yes, he's better than Endo, but he's 3 times the price. N'Golo Kante, one of the best we have ever seen. I think West Ham trying to get him back, but he's like 33, 34. So at the price in which we're getting for Endo, I don't think it really make much of a sense, because keeping Endo or not selling Endo would not prevent us from moving if the right number 6 should show up and becomes available. It's not like we need the money desperately to fund a purchase for that position in the team. So to me, it's really, really pointless. So even if we go and sign a number 6, or Stefan Bajcetic turn out to be the kind of player that we think he can be, we still need to keep Endo, because it's not like our squad. We have a squad of 60 players like Chelsea. We are not Chelsea. We have about 20, 22 players, which is really not that much. So, I mean, maybe I'm overreacting because I really like the guy. I like the way he gives his all. Of course, he makes mistakes. Of course, he's not. We know what it is. But I think he means more to us for the next 2 years than what we can actually get for him on the transfer market right now. So I can't see a world in which we move on from Endo, even if we go out and sign another CDM.
Yeah. No, I think that makes complete sense, to be fair. And I'll put this one to you. So there's a good point saying, should buy CDM and keep Endo. We can't risk someone in who gets injured, and then we have no CDM as backup. But then there's a counter argument to it. But then you're blocking Bajcetic's development, and that's another player who we haven't even factored into this conversation. That maybe if Endo does go, maybe Liverpool sees Bajcetic as the sort of mainstay there. I mean, what
Tyler
is the
Morton
best?
as well.
Yeah, Tyler Morton as well. He's another one. You know, he played in that match against Real Betis. Like, what is the ideal situation? Obviously, everyone's going to say sign a CDM, but you know, do we keep Endo? Do we cash in and then just give Bajcetic that sort of backup role? Like what? Because Endo's only going to decrease in value. He's only going to go down from here, you'd think. So, what is the way around this?
I think we need to sign a CDM regardless. It shouldn't take us signing Endo to buy a CDM. Like, it's obvious that we need a CDM. Like, that's the area. I think Richard Hoo's already said as well that that's the area we're going to look at to strengthen. So the ideal world is we sign a brand new CDM, world class one that can play there in the lineup, and Endo will come on like in a Jamie Miller role, last 10-15 minutes of the game, and just do a solid job. I think next summer might be a question of whether to sell Endo, because we could find out this season if he's able to adapt to Arne Slot's way of playing, and we see how good a Bajcetic can be as well, because we don't know how good Bajcetic can do in the sixth role, where we've seen Endo put in a solid performances at the sixth last season. So I'd want us to keep Endo and give him another season. I think he deserves it, and potentially next summer we could look at it if Bajcetic has risen, and we've got Tyler Morton as well, who might have done well in the season as well. So yeah, I think the case of looking at him next season and maybe look at passing in on him.
Right. So we've got one more thing that we want to sort of discuss. So we were going to talk about the Hogan interview, but there's a couple bits from that we can talk about. But then there's a good comment that's been brought up that the Gravenberch is apparently, you know, there's some scoreboard that LFC are looking to sell Gravenberch. The thought of selling Gravenberch to me is a ridiculous sentiment. There is no reason the club should be considering getting rid of someone of that caliber. Also, if you've got any questions, get them in. We'll answer all the ones that we can on it. Just do a bit of a Q&A at the end, because I say it's been a slow news day because we're not signed anyone at the moment, to the detriment of some. But yeah, get your questions in and we'll answer the ones that we can. So yeah, Ryan Gravenberch, Milan has spoken with his agent. Galatasaray have declared an interest and want a loan with an option to buy. Liverpool want a straight sale. Like, Jonathan, surely, and again, you give your opinion, you let me know what you think of this, but surely selling Gravenberch there's no sense to it. He's still so young, he's still talented. What do you think of it?
I wasn't really impressed with him last season, but I'm more excited to see him under Arne now than I would have been to see him under more season.
Yep.
I would keep him on the base of it would be exciting to see how he plays in maybe a double pivot under Arne, or as that number 10-ish. But I wasn't impressed with him last season. But again, I would keep him only because of how Arne can develop in a new system.
Yeah, I think Arne is going to be able to get something out of him, surely. And to be fair, he started off like a house on fire. He dipped. There's two like Klopp. Berg was a Klopp player / buy. To be fair, technically every player in that team is a Klopp buy. You know, obviously the early ones have had like Ward and Edwards and stuff involved. And then there's another saying Berg 0 minutes played at yours Holland. Joe Gomez played 0 for England. Still good enough. I don't know. I think just the thought of selling this, and Paul, I'll get your thoughts on it next. Like, Gravenberch, and Jonathan's completely right. Like, Slot could get something out of him. We don't know, what he's going to say with him. He's not back fully yet, and we might see a player who flourishes because he is one of the most talented players that, he was touted in Bayern Munich as being this incredible talent, and you got Ajax when he was there. We've signed him for cheap. He just wants to play football. And when he started off last season, especially in the Europa League, he shined and he looked fantastic. He looked fantastic against West Ham earlier on in the season as well. Of all the players, when I touched on before, that are up for chop, Endo could possibly be one. You've got the likes of Carvalho, Van Den Berg. Surely Gravenberch is safe for at least another season, given that he did perform at points last season.
I wouldn't even entertain an offer for Gravenberch right now unless it's a ridiculously high one, which you wouldn't get.
70.
Yes. Let's face it, Gravenberch, he's the prototypical Dutch midfielder. He's tall, elegant, can carry the ball, have a good shot on him. He probably was not ideal for Klopp's system. Klopp fast, breakneck, Gangnam style of offense. That's not him. But with this new system that we're hearing that Slot is trying to implement, this Dutch total football where you have to keep the ball possession based and slowly break down opposing teams, especially low block teams. He's the kind of player that could thrive. I mean, yes, he could turn out to be a boss just like any player. But again, the guy's just been with us 1 year. He didn't really get a lot of playing time, to be fair. But no way would I entertain moving him at this time. He's 22. We're talking about Endo at 31. This guy is 22, right? So, and typically players don't come into their prime until 23 to 28 in that age. So it would be foolhardy to even consider moving on from Gravenberch after just 1 year, especially with a new manager coming on board, new style of football, and we can see glimpses of the talent that he possesses. I would not be surprised if Gravenberch and Harvey Elliott are not our two breakout stars next season. I would not be surprised if Gravenberch steal minutes away from Szoboszlai, because the type of football that we are playing, it may just suit Gravenberch more. I could see Szoboszlai as a club player, but in terms of how we're going to play now with that slower possession football, I would not be shocked if Gravenberch become a big player for us, even at the expense of somebody like Szoboszlai. So no chance would I even consider unless it's a ridiculous offer.
No, I completely agree 100%. Anil, I mean, get your thoughts on Gravenberch. Like, what do you think his best sort of position would be for this team? Because I'm not... On one hand, I like to think he's, people go, he's big, he could be a physical player, but I don't think he's hold up very well in the 50-50s. I think he is better going forward in those tight spaces and being a creative force. Like, what do you think is best for him going forward?
I think he's more of a box-to-box player than a six. I'm with you. I'm not completely sure what his best position is, but I think he's better when he's further forward, when he can influence the game. He's really good at holding on to the ball and gliding past players. And yeah, I agree with what Paul was saying. I just think that it's too early to think about getting rid of Gravenberch. His potential, at one point he was one of the most exciting midfielders, a young midfielder in the world football. So, we need to give him more time than just one season to see what he's all about. Because if we do get everything out of him, we're going to get a hell of a player.
Gravenberch reminds me as a taller version of Naby Keita. He's that kind of player, right?
No.
When he's...
No.
Come on, hear me out.
You said that name, and it gives me like PTSD flashbacks.
Let's forget about the injuries and let's forget about the negatives. But when Naby Keita was on, he was some player. Yes, he didn't show it enough for us, and yes, we all know the baggage, we know the injuries, we know all of that stuff. You remember that game that we beat Man U 5-0 at their place when it was 4-0 halftime?
His best game in the career.
Naby Keita was unplayable. Naby
That was
Keita
one of
was
his best performances.
unplayable, especially when we had Naby and Thiago Alcantara unsung. We had a team. Again, we know what happened, so let's not dwell too much on that. But Gravenberch strikes me as that kind of player. Box-to-box midfielder. I can, take on his man, drive into the box, and have a good shot on him. So I think we need to be patient with these players. We buy the guy, he's 21 when we bought him from Bayern. He was sitting on the bench, he wasn't getting a lot of game time because he was competing with Musiala and those kind of players. And then he comes to Liverpool, a totally different side of football, and then we expect him to be this world beater in 2 months. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. So I'm sure we're buying because we think that he has a bright future. He's young. And so I think, again, he's another player that we have that I think could be massive for us. If he's in the right setup, the right system, we are patient with him. And I think he could be a good player for us going forward. I don't want to sell him.
I just want to shoot in. I'm not for selling him this season. He started very good when he came in last year, and he dipped in form. So it was more often I was disappointed in his performance than okay.
Yeah.
But I felt really bad for him when he got injured in the Carabao Cup final because on that day he looked very sharp, and then he got the tackle that sent him off.
I don't feel bad for him. We won the match. If we had stayed on, we might not have won the match.
Yeah, but
I know what you mean. No, yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, I just Gravenberch for me is. I'm not going to compare him to Weetabix legs because I agree with what Paul. The Atletico Madrid goal was sensational. That first game against West Ham, he scored against Bournemouth once. Naby Keita had those moments. Yeah, he had those moments. I think Gravenberch can offer a bit more all around, and people are so quick to go get rid of him. Give him another season. He's had one season, and if anything of that season, half of it was poor. First half, I thought he was really, really good. He did have injuries. He was in and out of the team. But you had Szoboszlai, who started off like a house on fire. McAllister, who became unbelievable at the back end of the season. Same with Endo. And he needs more time. That's just the way it is. We've got another question. Is anyone enjoying the Olympic Games? I actually am, to be fair. I quite enjoy I'll watch any sport, to be honest. I watched Tom Daley get a silver today, which was quite exciting. I enjoyed that. I'm not how Norway
Olympics doesn't start until the track and field.
My cousin is running 400 meters on track. I don't know what the Norwegian word is stafette, but it's team running.
Relay.
Relay.
Oh wow.
My cousin is running 400 meters relay, so I'm excited to watch her run.
Oh wow, that's mad. Oh, when is that in the next couple of days? Is it?
It's between 1st and 11th of August. Is it when it starts? The running, track running, and
what? It goes on for ages. The athletics, there's only some things I'll tune in for. It's like the boxing, the skeet shooting, and the football, and then the athletics I'll tune in for bits of it. But it goes on for so long. I lose track when it is.
Norway is known for Winter Olympics.
I want to watch the 100 meters, 200 meters, and the relays. I'm a Jamaican, so I want to watch this.
Because why is that for?
Yeah.
I enjoy the Olympics. I think the Olympics are entertaining. They get a bit of a bad rap, but it's not quite the World Cup, but I don't mind it. Anna, I'll give this one to you. Do you think we beat Arsenal and Man United this week? Now, it is a pre-season match, so it's not like it's the end of the world, but we're going to have stronger players. Diogo Jota's back. There's other people who are slowly being drip-fed into the team. I mean, we could do. What do you think of these upcoming matches against Arsenal and United? It's a good test, if anything.
Yeah, it's a good chance for the players to get sharper. We got Jota. It's good to have a striker in the lineup. So yeah, I think we can beat them. We look quite well. We look quite good against Betis. But as you said, Arsenal United is going to be a different test. It'll be interesting to see, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Arsenal game in particular, I think, is going to have a lot of stock. United beat us. I can't remember. It was they smashed us and they won a trophy that looked like a stadium like 2 seasons ago.
Which Shaqiri scored over.
So, yeah, exactly. And it didn't mean shit because we almost won the league that season or something. Or we did really well. I can't exactly remember. But pre-season, I don't put much stock in it. But the Arsenal game, on the other hand, is going to be I'm looking forward to that. That's the next one we play. So that one will be good. Paul, no more drone flying for Canada. Can we have some context here, please?
So the Canadian women's soccer team, one of the favorites for a medal at the Olympics. So apparently there has been allegations that the team used a drone to spy on the practice of other teams, the opponents. And it turns out that that's something that the Canadian women's team have done before in the past.
No.
And as a result, the head coach was sent home, and the team was penalized 6 points. So they have won their first 2 group games. And now they are on a flat 0 points because, of course, they started out with -6.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a big discussion here. The players basically said that, they didn't know about it. And if it happened, it's really unfortunate. But the coach went back home, was sent home, and has apologized to the country for whatever mistakes was done or whatever it is. So there's been allegations of cheating, which is kind of unfortunate because we Canadians are people of the highest integrity. But, it is what it is. But we have won our first 2 games, so we're on 0 points. So we still have a slight chance of qualifying, which will be tremendous if we can qualify for the second round with a -6 points difference to start. So we'll see. But that's basically it in a nutshell.
Should just give Canada the trophy for that.
Just give them the trophy.
Just give them the trophy if they qualify for the second round.
I mean, how much were they paying you to do it, Paul? Were you on the payroll?
No, I wish I was, but right now the team is actually playing without a head coach. And actually, we played France, one of the favorites, in the second game. It was over the weekend, and we were trailing. Obviously, if we had lost that game, we would have probably no chance. We'd have 0 chance of progressing beyond the first round because of that -6 points that we started with. And we actually beat them 2-1 with the winning goal in injury time after the Canadian keeper pulled off a blinder. Allison against Newcastle kind of save. So we're still fighting. That's the Canadian spirit. You guys should move here. Best country in the world.
Norway.
I mean, I'm from England, and we finished runners-up in the Euros. I'll have you know. So we are.
England won the World Cup before all of us were born. So there's that.
Exactly, 1966, and we'll never let you forget it.
And Norway have never lost to Brazil in a World Cup.
We don't need to dwell on the past. Let's move. We don't need to talk about the past. 66 is, no, it's fine. But I think that is going to wrap it up because we are coming up to the hour mark. Unless I can stretch this out for another 1:10, but it's not really.
Before you go,
just
quick question. I want a prediction. Is Eddie Howe remaining at Newcastle, or will he be taken over from your 3 lions, taking over and coaching your 3 lions? And what do you want?
I think is what I want.
If it's who I want like a pet, or I want something stupidly good like that.
Be realistically, Lou. Be realistic.
Realistically, Eddie Howe would be my pick, or a Mauricio Pochettino. They're my
Pochettino.
They're the realistic picks for who I'd want. And Anil, actually, I'll get your thoughts on this as well. But there who would want, who we're going to get, it's going to be Graham Potter. Let's be honest. It is going to be Graham Potter because he's been scouted for that job for the longest time. He's been tapped up. It is going to be Graham Potter, but I would like an Eddie Howe as my number one choice. My number
Gary
two choice
O'Neill?
would be Mauricio Pochettino.
I think Pochettino.
Yeah. Why do you think Poch? I don't know.
Because I want a manager that actually wants to play football, like proper football. Because we've got so many good players in England. Foden, Cole Palmer, Saka, Eze. Well, all these great players on the ball, and it just feels like a waste with Southgate manager. So I just want a manager now who will play really good football and get the best out of players.
Poch is so overrated. I can't believe it. Of all of the big managers, all of the big names, Ancelotti, Pep, Klopp, Tuchel,
yeah,
all
but
of
they're
the
not
big
gonna.
names. Poch is just so overrated. What has he won? He won the Farmers League in France 1 year. I could have won that league.
So Poch, I think Poch is overrated to an extent, but the job he did at Southampton was fantastic. The job he did at Verona was fantastic. He went to Tottenham, and let's be honest, he took a Tottenham team who were a joke and a laughingstock, and he took them to competing for that title, which you had the freak season with Leicester. Yeah, they probably should have won the league that season. But then he got into a Champions League final. He brought the best out of Son and Harry Kane. I think he's proven that he's a good manager.
Even Del Alli shined under it.
Yeah, exactly. And he's proven that he's capable of developing players. And this England squad need a manager who is going to play good attacking football. Pochettino can do that. He was doing that at Chelsea towards the end. He went on a 5-game winning streak towards the end and unbeaten in 6. He took them to a cup final. Of all the people who are experienced to do it, Pochettino is the one who could probably do it. I don't want to go for the cliche English manager. I don't want Graham Potter who's going to play this boring football. I don't want the Sam Allardyce style of. I just want someone who's going to play to the strengths of these attacking players. Yeah, exactly. And Poch can do it. So I want Poch, but we will probably get Graham Potter, and that'll just it'll bore me. So yeah, but. We are going to go because that's left me on a sour note. Thank you, Paul, for asking that question. If you are new around here, then please make sure to click like and subscribe. Helps out massively. And next time you're watching on Twitter, which will be tomorrow night, 7:30 p.m. UK time, as per usual, then head over to YouTube and get involved in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you, Jonathan, Paul, and Anna for coming on. We'll see you all in the next stream. Like I said,